If you're working as a health, fitness, or a wellness professional, it's becoming more and more likely that you're going to run into clients that are dealing with symptoms that can come from leaky gut issues. So in this video, I'm going to help you understand what this issue is, things that can cause it, and I'm going to give you 4 steps that you can help your clients take to turn this situation around. And with step number 4, I'm going to share a study that's showing this one step alone can be really creating some improvement for a lot of people. You don't want to miss this.
TC Hale is not a doctor and does not claim to be a doctor or licensed in any type of medical field. Don't be an idiot and use anything heard on the show as medical advice. This information should be used for educational purposes only, and you should contact your doctor for any medical advice. Now get off me.
So when you're helping clients understand leaky gut issues, we want to understand that that intestinal tract can be like 22 feet long for a lot of people. And when you really talk about the absorbable surface area of that tube going through there, if you spread that all out, it can cover a tennis court. So this is a really big system in the body, and when it's not working correctly, it's going to be hard for your client's body to be working correctly. So when we're looking at this leaky gut, we're really looking at this intestinal lining here, and we really want to look at these junctions. These junctions should be tight so that a lot of bad stuff is not getting through this intestinal lining, because right here on the other side is the bloodstream. So in our bloodstream is our immune system. A lot of our immune response comes from cells within that bloodstream. So when we're looking at leaky gut, the problem is that basically these junctions have become wider. So now all these bad guys, all these bacteria and viruses and food particles are getting through this junction because it's wider, and when it gets through there, now all these bad guys are getting into the bloodstream, and it's creating that immune response type inflammation reaction kind of situation. So we really don't want that happening. And when we look at the associations that seem to go along with these leaky gut type issues, we see things like autoimmune issues, and we see liver issues like non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. We see a lot of blood control issues like PCOS and diabetes. And we see food allergies and food hypersensitivities a lot. And I'm going to put a link to a study in the description below this video that showed us when we're looking at these issues here that there can be a correlation between these problems, and 25 to 87% of those folks had leaky gut issues going on. So that's a substantial number. And we don't know, is leaky gut creating these health issues, or are these issues creating problems that lead to the leaky gut? We don't know, but to see that correlation with those things, with those kind of numbers, is very significant and something that we should not be ignoring. And when you research this topic, it appears that people feel strongly that these are the issues that seem to be contributing to this problem, and that's dysbiosis, which can just be any type of gut flora problem where there's a lot of bad guys in there, or maybe there's not enough good guys, but there's some type of dysbiosis going on in that intestinal tract. Stress can be a big issue. Inflammation, a poor diet, maybe somebody's eating junk all day long. Any GI conditions like IBS or chronic constipation, or any of these things that go on in that GI tract, and especially infections with yeast, mold, and fungal issues. I've talked to some other experts that feel strongly that they feel like this yeast, mold, and fungal issues that seem to be the most problematic and have the greatest ability to kind of widen those junctions. And those may be part of the infections that create so much trouble. So when we're going to look at step 1, that's going to be to reduce any of these infections that could be going on in the intestinal tract, like an H. pylori or some type of yeast, mold, or fungal candida type issue that can be going on. And I'm going to link in the description below a Harvard study that showed us that when people were dealing with some type of candida infection, when they reduced that infection, these leaky gut symptoms really seem to improve a lot. So if there's a candida issue down there, we really know we want to take care of any of those candida, yeast, mold, fungal type problems, and that would really be a big part of step 1. And step number 2 is to fix any digestive malfunctions. So it's very common today for someone not to be making enough stomach acid for a wide variety of reasons, but we need that stomach acid there because when we eat food, your clients should make hydrochloric acid or stomach acid that helps us start to acidify that food so that it can be broken down properly. So if somebody doesn't have enough stomach acid, we really want to help that client improve their HCl production so that they can acidify their food correctly so they can break it down. And that HCl in the stomach is not just there to help us break our food down, it's the barrier to the whole body. So when these microorganisms come in on the food that we're eating, and they're coming in on the food that we're eating, they're supposed to die in an acid bath. We're supposed to make enough stomach acid to fry them. So when someone doesn't have enough stomach acid, then the bacteria comes in, they're like, oh, this is nice, let's set up camp here. We'll have a little family and then we'll move down here in the small intestine and we'll create like a small intestinal bacterial overgrowth or a SIBO situation like all the cool kids have. And we'll just create a bunch of muck all over the place. And so when we have these bacterial overgrowths in the stomach or the small intestine, the waste from that bacteria can be very alkaline. And then you're further alkalizing this stomach and making it even harder to acidify the food to break it down. And you're also making this a more alkaline environment so any other invader that comes in is welcome in. Come right in. There's nobody here to kill you. We're having a great time. We're going to have a cake party. So come in and set up camp here. And by having this overly alkaline waste from all these bacteria, you're really setting up a situation for more and more bad guys to come in. And the second issue is that once this food is acidified, it should leave here and go into the duodenum, and that should trigger this gallbladder to squirt alkaline bile down to help neutralize those acids. And bile is a soapy substance that's made in the liver and then it's stored in the gallbladder, and it's called on when these acidic products leave the stomach to help neutralize those, but also to help us emulsify or break down our dietary fats so that we can access fat-soluble vitamins like A, E, D, and K. Those are kind of a big deal. So it's really common, though, for someone's bile to become too thick and sticky to flow correctly, and then it won't come down there and do all of those jobs. And the other thing is that a lot of people feel like this stomach acid is there to fry a lot of these microorganisms that come in, but there's some that do okay in an acid environment. But those ones that do well in acid usually don't do well in an alkaline environment. So if this bile, this alkaline bile is coming down, you're kind of frying any organism that comes in this acidity, and those that get through get fried by the alkaline bile. And when this alkaline substance of the bile meets with this acidic product leaving the stomach, these opposite pHs create like this sizzle that really helps us break that food down into the elemental nutrients. And so a lot of people feel like it's that sizzle, the mixture of the acid and the alkaline, that's really helping wipe out a lot of these organisms that shouldn't be coming into the system. So you really want to make sure your clients have that barrier to keep all the bad guys from coming in. So if someone's not making enough stomach acid, you want to help them correct that. And if bile has become too thick and sticky to flow, you want to help them take steps to thin that out. Because another problem with this leaky gut is undigested food. When food is not broken down into vitamins and minerals and amino acids and these dietary fats, that food still has an identity. So when we're looking at these junctions that are supposed to be tight, if they're wider, not only are all the bacteria and the viruses getting into the bloodstream, but these undigested food particles, they still have an identity, come in and they're like, hey, I'm a chicken sandwich. How's it going? Well, the body doesn't know what a chicken sandwich is. The body's looking for vitamins and minerals and amino acids and all those elemental nutrients that the food should be broken down into. So when it comes in and says, hi, I'm a chicken sandwich, the body's like, oh, I don't know what that is. It must be an invader. So I'm going to go to war against that chicken sandwich. And then every time somebody eats a chicken sandwich, their body's going to war against a chicken sandwich because it still has an identity and it wasn't broken down into elemental nutrients. So now the body saves these file, that's a bad guy. Every time they eat a chicken sandwich, all this inflammation, and the inflammation is just the immune response to that invader. But now we're creating inflammation that seems to be one of those factors that can magnify these junctions getting wider and creating more of a leaky gut situation. So we really want that food to be broken down into elemental nutrients. And when they're not, we see a lot of these food sensitivity issues. And these are not a food allergy that somebody's born with, but food sensitivities can be created over time because the food's not being digested, it's getting through that leaky gut issue, and now the body's going to go to war every time they eat that food. So that's one possible cause for food sensitivities. So we really want to help these clients restore this acid function And some people can use apple cider vinegar. That can help acidify the food in the stomach a little bit if they just need a little bit of boost. But most clients are going to need to supplement with betaine HCl capsules so that they can really acidify this food the right way. And then if the bile is too thick, they really need to thin that out to get that flowing. And if you need to understand that better, my book Health Pro Results, chapters 3 and 4, walk you through helping clients figure out which aspects of digestion are not working correctly and what steps they can take to improve those. And the book is available on Amazon, but I'm going to put a link in the description below so you can get the whole thing totally for free, and that'll walk you through that process. And step number 3 that you can take with your clients is to remove all the problematic foods. So improving these issues is going to take time. Your clients are not going to fix this problem by Thursday so that they can go to the square dance that they're wanting to go to. This is going to take time to tighten up these junctions and wipe out any invaders that are there, take steps to improve any digestive malfunctions. Those things are going to take time. But to see some faster improvement, you can help clients remove the foods that are most commonly problematic in these situations. There's foods that when they do get through these wider junctions into the bloodstream, they're more likely to create that immune inflammation response. And those foods are things, anything with gluten, eggs can be problems for some people, dairy, soy, nuts, and seeds. Now, there's other things that could cause problems for some people, maybe, some nightshade vegetables and stuff like that. But these seem to be the most common problematic foods that when they get in, the body's going to be like, hey, let's go to war against that soy-based Frankenburger or whatever that thing was. And so if somebody can remove all of these foods until they get this situation corrected, they can often feel better a whole lot faster. And that can bring a lot of symptom relief, which for a lot of people can be a big deal. And then step number 4 is a big one. This is the probiotics. And I'm going to put a link in the description below this video to a meta-analysis study of over 26 controlled trials with over 1,800 patients. And these studies showed that when people used probiotics over time, that a very large percentage of them saw great improvement to this leaky gut issue. And they kind of viewed this like, okay, we're going to measure the things that are coming into the bloodstream, and we're going to measure the body's reaction to those things. And then we're going to use probiotics for an extended period of time, and we're going to measure those again. And the measurements showed that most people saw significant improvement when doing this. And it wasn't like we're going to use this brand of probiotics. These were all different trials that were all using different things. A lot of them were using soil-based organisms, and most of them were using combinations of lactobacillus and bifidobacterium. And we saw a lot of them were using Lactobacillus paracasea, Bifidobacterium breva, and Bifidobacterium longum. And you don't need to understand all those. I probably didn't even pronounce them correctly. But the studies showed that when people were using a combination that included these 3 things, that it seemed to work very well for these people. And we'll put a link in the description below for the probiotic that we use that includes these 3 strains. And I'm not saying that you need to use this and that this formula improves leaky gut. I just know you're going to ask, what do you guys use? And this is a good example of one that has these in there so that you can just kind of look at that and see what that's like. But when we're looking at the amounts that they used, if the dose was like 1 to 10 billion per day, and that's a lot lower than a lot of companies make when they're making their probiotics. So it didn't seem to be a thing about, oh, we need to have more. And the length of time was like 2 to 3 months for most of these, which is much longer than I would usually tell people to use probiotics. I always tell people that, well, if you can clear out a lot of the bad guys and you can fix these digestive malfunctions, that all of a sudden if you just use them for 3 or 4 weeks, then the system will be set up for them to thrive and they'll flourish on their own. But this study was showing that people were using them for 2 to 3 months. And we really prefer to see people to take steps to reduce any type of overgrowth issue here, because if you have bad guys in there and then you put these probiotics in there, it's basically going to create this situation where the good guys are going to war against the bad guys. And it can really magnify a lot of those symptoms that the person experiences. So before we use probiotics with clients, we like to see them wipe out or at least take these bad guys down a few notches and fix any of these digestive malfunctions so that the door is not open and you're just not letting more bad guys in. A lot of people take steps to wipe all these bad guys out and then they'll use probiotics probiotics, but they leave the front door open. And then bad guys are just coming in next week and it's starting the whole process all over again. So we feel like these functions, the stomach acid and the bile flow, are very important to correct when they're not working correctly. But anyways, these studies, they didn't do that. They didn't take steps to wipe out the infection first. They just went with the probiotics, and a lot of people still saw great results. But if you're working with clients, you really want this to go as smooth as possible. So when you can make it a little bit easier and reduce the symptoms that will show up, that can really be beneficial. So this seems to be a very big deal. And then finally, I just want to talk about some questionable steps. It's very popular to use glutamine with leaky gut. Everybody wants to use glutamine. And glutamine is an amino acid that is basically one of the body's building blocks that it needs to rebuild structures like this and to make things stronger. And another thing that we need to understand when we're looking at glutamine is that the body has this natural circadian rhythm to it, where during the day a person should be in a more catabolic state, where the body is very good at creating energy and keeping us going all day and breaking down tissues and things so that they can be rebuilt and renewed. And then at night, the body should move into this anabolic state where the body's very good at resting and also rebuilding and repairing. And most people should move back and forth as they should from the day to the night. But for a wide variety of reasons, a lot of people will get stuck in one of these states all the time, and they won't move back and forth like they should. And being stuck in either state can create a wide variety of health issues. Like in this scenario, if somebody's really stuck in this anabolic state, the body will tend to send more of the water to the kidneys and less to the bowels, and we'll see a lot of chronic constipation issues. And there's other causes of constipation, but we see this a lot when someone is stuck in this anabolic state because the stool is becoming too dry and hard because the body's sending most of the water to the kidneys. So why this is important to glutamine is because glutamine seems to be a very pro-anabolic amino acid. So when you take a person who's stuck in this catabolic state and they're not moving into this rebuild and repair state, and you give them glutamine, well, you're giving them this amino acid that the body can use as a building block. That's one benefit. But you're also helping them move into this anabolic state that is the rest and rebuild and repair state. So now the body has the tools and the ability to rebuild those intestinal lining structures. So that could be why a lot of people see improvement when they're using glutamine for leaky gut. But if this person is already stuck in an anabolic state all the time and they're dealing with issues like this, well, you're going to throw fire on that, and they're not going to poop until like Christmas, because you're going to magnify an imbalance that's creating either constipation or a wide variety of other health issues. So when you're going to tell a client to use glutamine to fix this, you really want to know where their chemistry is, and is glutamine really going to help them? Are they stuck over here? Or are you going to be magnifying problems that they're already dealing with? And that book that I told you how to get for free in the description below, that walks you through how to help clients run simple self-tests at home using tools they can pick up at a pharmacy, at a health food store, just to get an idea of where their body chemistry is and to see if they might be imbalanced in this area to know whether glutamine is a good idea or not. But just keep in mind that glutamine is going to help some people, but that doesn't mean that you just want to start dumping it into your clients. It can be problematic for some. So remember, step one is to reduce any infection that's going on that can be creating these problems, or the inflammation that is causing these problems. And step number two is to restore any digestive malfunctions so that you can at least shut the door, but also help the client break the food down into elemental nutrients so these bigger food particles are not getting in and creating all those food sensitivity type reactions. And step number three is to eliminate those problematic foods that can help the person just feel better while they're working to fix this. And then step number four is the probiotics for 2 to 3 months. So you can see there's a lot of things that can go into this, but it appears that people are really improving these issues when they take these steps. So if you want to understand if a client might be having these digestive issues, you can jump over right now and check out our video on 10 signs your client has low stomach acid, so you can gain more insights into that now. I can't wait to hear about your results.